Today, I was watching the Terra Luna supporters scrambling around looking for any sign of sustenance or shelter under a tree that bears no fruit and provides no shade. And don't get me wrong, I felt very bad for them, but I had to ask myself a question. If Cardano were in similar circumstances, at what point would I capitulate? I realized I couldn't answer this question. The reason is simple. While Cardano is an idea, that other ecosystem for its supporters is largely an investment. Sure, they're both based in ideas, and we're all trying to make a little bit of money if we can. But the execution of one of those is the pursuit of an idea about a better, fairer economic system, while the other is about the pursuit of profit through investment. It's easy to capitulate on an investment, but it's much harder to capitulate on an idea if you believe in it. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss the ongoing aftermath of the stable slash unstable slash fatal for your wallet Quan fiasco, the performance of Ergo's SIG USD, a video of a world mobile Airnode, the size of the Pavia Plaza, and the Indigo Protocol private testnet. If you like to spend all day thinking while naked, while sitting on a cold slab of rock, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please delegate to the army of spies stake pool, ticker AOS. Okay, it's now the next day, and here's how things are looking. Things are still looking very nice for Cardano, top 5 blockchain. These two don't count. They're just coins. They're not blockchains. So top 5 blockchain, Cardano, good job. When we scroll down here to find Terra USD, what we find is that it is chilling at a cool 39 cents. Just changed to 39 while we're looking at it. 39 cents. This thing's supposed to be pegged to the dollar. Things are still looking very, very bad. Not good for Terra USD. But if we look at Terra Luna, are things even worse? Turns out we have to scroll all the way down here, to the number 73 spot. Mind you, this at one point, I believe, was a top 10 coin. I remember a time when Terra Luna was right up there with Cardano. Now Terra Luna is in the number 73 spot with an impressive 95% loss in 24 hours, 98% loss in 7 days, but 95% in 24 hours. This is the wild, erratic, volatile crypto that all of us remember and in some ways hate, in some ways love from previous cycles. Everybody who lived through the Mt. Gox crash and then the 2017-2018 ICO cycle, we've all seen this before. These are the kinds of intense red days that we remember from those previous cycles. And right now, the big victim of all this is Terra Luna. That's not to say that everybody's not hurting. Pretty much everything that's not a legit stable coin is extremely red right now. So I know everybody's feeling the pain. And maybe calling Terra Luna a victim is a little bit of a stretch, but certainly its holders are feeling like victims today. So what has the illustrious Mr. at Stablequan been up to while all this has been going on today? He announced close to announcing a recovery plan for UST. Hang tight. We've always loved in crypto these announcements of announcements. And here we get an announcement of a recovery plan. You should just hang tight. Don't worry. It's all being taken care of. Do Kwon says, didn't mean to be so quiet. Needed razor focus to deliver. Thanks everyone for the support. He needed razor focus, everyone. Obviously going to deliver a full recovery plan. You should just hang tight. Don't worry. He's using his razor focus to deliver here because he is stable Quan. So what did all of that powerful razor focus actually deliver? It delivered this. Dear Terra community, I understand the last 72 hours have been extremely tough on all of you. Know that I'm resolved to work with every one of you to weather this crisis, and we will build our way out of this. That's a good sign because it's probably a good course of action to try to fix it when something you built just lost a huge number of people, billions of dollars. This is probably the good decision rather than just like doing nothing. This is probably better. He says, first, if you don't understand how Terra's peg stabilization mechanism works, here's a good overview. Again, a good sign when the founder of the project is pointing to a good overview, and the title of that good overview involves the words death spiral. This post he's referencing says, bringing back my death spiraling Luna model. Great sign when the founder is pointing to the death spiral model. You can say things are looking up if that's the case. He says, a review of the current situation. UST is currently trading at 50 cents, a significant deviation from its intended peg at $1. Yep, I would say if a stablecoin is pegged at $1 and it's trading at 50 cents, less than that now, things are not right. Thank you for pointing that out. Stablecoin, people were probably confused. They're probably like, hey, maybe the new peg is 50 cents. Maybe this is just how it is now. He says the price stabilization mechanism is absorbing UST supply, but the cost of absorbing so much stable coins at the same time has stretched out the on-chain swap spread to 40%. If you don't understand how the on-chain swap spread works in Luna Terra ecosystem for this stablecoin, then there were quite a few threads today. You can find some threads on Twitter explaining exactly how that spread was looking today. He says, before anything else, the only path forward will be to absorb the stablecoin supply that wants to exit before UST can start to repeg. There is no way around it. So this is where things probably get pretty dark. If you were looking forward to the recovery plan, this awesome recovery plan that was going to fix everything, it turns out the recovery plan is that you just have to absorb all of the stablecoin supply that wants to exit before you can start to repeg. So things are just going to continue getting bad. Things might continue just being bad for a while. We're just going to take the pain before we can start to repeg. This is kind of like if you and your buddy were being beat mercilessly by a bunch of bullies, and your buddy turns to you and he's like, don't worry, I have a plan. You're like, okay, great. What's the plan? He's like, we allow them to continue beating us until their knuckles are too sore and they don't want to punch us anymore. That's the plan. You're like, fantastic. I can't wait. I can't wait to participate in that plan. Let's do that. And amazingly, that's pretty much it. He's got a few other little details here. He's sort of adopting, in his words, endorsing a community proposal to do a few things: increase the base pool from one figure to another figure, decrease pool recovery blocks. This is going to increase minting capacity, a few little details here and there. And he says more ideas will be discussed in the community forums. But that's pretty much it. He says, naturally, this is at a high cost to UST and Luna holders, but we will continue to explore various options to bring in more exogenous capital to the ecosystem and reduce supply overhang on UST. He's like, hey, we're going to try to find some money, but we're just exploring those options. And maybe those options don't even exist. We're just exploring them. Maybe we can acquire some exogenous capital. Maybe not. We're exploring those options. He says, as we begin to rebuild UST, we will adjust its mechanism to be collateralized. Yeah, I think maybe some adjustment of mechanism is probably warranted after a catastrophic failure like this. At the end, Do Kwon lets you know, Terra's return to form will be a sight to behold. We're here to stay, and we're going to keep making noise. If this is what Razor Focus delivers, I would hate to see what like Butter Knife Focus delivers, because this plan isn't that substantially different than we just do nothing until the stablecoin supply that wants to exit has exited. We just need to absorb the stablecoin supply that wants to exit. That's, man, in my mind, that's substantially similar, at least, to we do nothing until all of the capital that wants to leave has already left. Then we begin to rebuild. And by the way, it'll be a sight to behold. I'm sure this is very comforting to all of the people in the Luna Terra community. Again, if this guy was a nice guy, I would probably approach this a little bit differently. But like we discussed yesterday, he's not a cool guy. None of that changes the fact that if you are part of this community, if you are holding these assets, I do feel for you. So how low will this number go? Will this number eventually get to 100? Will this number ever recover? It's a market. Nobody knows, including me. If you want to hear a different version of the same story, you don't need to look any further than Ergo's Sigma stablecoin. Charles Hoskinson asked, Ergo Platform Org, how's Sigma holding up? Ergo responded, "G'day, Charles. As our community has mentioned, 1 SIG USD equals 1 USD, pegged nicely, currently 300% reserve ratio." Obviously, UST and SIG USD are operating at very different levels of scale. A lot more money, a lot more action happening in UST, and there might have been certain actions by certain actors that sort of kicked off this whole catastrophe in the Luna Terra ecosystem. So not directly comparable necessarily, but it doesn't change the fact that the stablecoin in Ergo, SIG USD, is maintaining its peg nicely. And it's important to note here that Sigma USD is based on the same age USD architecture that JED is based on, which is why this reserve ratio is going to look pretty similar to the one we see in JED. As we discussed in the video the other day, there's only 4 things that can happen in JED. You can mint JED, you can burn JED, you can mint Shen, you can burn Shen, and the only time you can do all 4 of those things sort of at will is when the reserve ratio is between 400% and 800%. If it's above 800% or below 400%, there's certain of those 4 actions that you can't do. If you wanted another example of how the Cardano blockchain is really the execution of an idea about a better and fairer economic system as opposed to just an investment like some other blockchains, here you go. Here's a video from World Mobile about the installation of an Airnode. This is the World Mobile system in action. They're actually doing the things they said. They're actually deploying these Airnodes, which will provide connectivity to the unconnected across the globe, hopefully one day, but starting in places like Africa. You can tell when people really believe in an idea versus that idea just being a premise to create an investment vehicle. When people really believe in the idea, they actually try to do the thing. And that's what we're seeing right here. World Mobile had an idea about connecting the unconnected, and they're actually doing the thing. These Airnodes are real. Here's one being installed in the real world. Here's a little update from the Indigo Synthetic Asset Protocol. They say the Indigo private testnet is live. Pre-selected users will complete a series of functionality tests and share their insights on UI UX usability over the course of 14 days. So it looks like a lot of the big DeFi projects in Cardano that haven't yet launched, Indigo is just steadily inching along, getting closer and closer to an actual launch of their product that we can use. In metaverse news, that's one of my favorites. We now have an update from Pavia on the size of the Pavia Plaza. They say, ever wondered how big the Pavia Plaza is in relation to the real world? Well, wonder no more, because here are some comparisons to London, New York, Paris, and Rome. Hint, it's going to be epic. And here we have a little view of the size of the Pavia Plaza in relation to the areas around Times Square in New York, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the Barbican Estate in London, and St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. Looks like the Pavia Plaza will be quite large. Here's one additional note on what I'm going to call the UST calamity, catastrophe. Scandal sounds too pedestrian. It's like a calamity, a catastrophe, a fiasco. But here's one final note. It turns out that as much as I feel like the crypto crowd, we kind of lend ourselves to believing in conspiracy theories. There's a lot of talk of, global economic conspiracies and this kind of thing. And I think a lot of people in crypto definitely are, we'll say, at least open to those kinds of ideas, more open maybe than the average person. But it's not always the case. Sometimes there is just a flaw in a system. There's some kind of systemic instability, or there's some kind of an exploit that's waiting to be taken advantage of by someone. And it almost doesn't even matter who takes advantage. If there's some kind of systemic flaw that someone can exploit, someone's going to exploit it. In crypto, at least, where there is always millions and billions of dollars on the line. Whenever there's this kind of gigantic jackpot waiting to be reaped, someone's going to capture that value. And in this case, I think a lot of us would love to believe there was BlackRock and Citadel who got together in some, across some gigantic boardroom table, probably made of like marble or something. we'd love to believe they got together and said, hey, this crypto thing's getting out of hand. We must stop them at once. They must be stopped. Like the stereotypical, bad guy meeting. And they decided to crash UST, knowing that would crash all of crypto. In this case, BlackRock and Citadel have denied having any involvement with this. They both say they do not trade UST. So they could be lying. There could be some technical loophole like, hey, we don't trade UST, but we definitely gave one of our partners personally a huge amount of money so that he could. It could be any of those things. I'm not saying those things aren't possible, but I don't think it really matters who did this, or even if anybody really did this. I think there was a problem with UST. It wasn't quite the right algorithmic stablecoin system. Is there a right algorithmic stablecoin system? I hope so. I hope it's JED. We don't really know. We probably won't know for years. I mean, for me personally, is JED going to have to run for 10 years before I'm like, looks solid? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know if any algorithmic stablecoin works. We don't know what's going to happen with stablecoins in the future. But in this case, it looks like BlackRock and Citadel, they're at least denying that they had any involvement in this. And I'm guessing, probably they didn't. Probably they didn't have anything to do with it. Again, there could be some technical loophole, like some closely associated affiliate of one or both had something to do with this. That's always possible. But it would be nice if we could believe in all the conspiracy theories. But in this case, it looks like maybe not. Maybe UST just sucked. Hope you're having a great week, and I will talk to you tomorrow.